probably now one of the biggest challenges for myself is to sit back and listen and make changes to things that I've done a certain way for so long. And now listen to someone else going, this is a really fine thing, but we need to change it.
Nick Gwiazdowski, welcome to the podcast, man.
How you doing?
Doing great. Are you in Ithaca today?
Yes, I am. I've been here for the past 3.5 weeks. So all up here.
That's awesome. Are you guys still practicing in the mall?
No, we're out of the mall. We're back in the Friedman Center. So I never was in the mall. We're slowly moving out of there, but it's good to be in the Friedman Center. It's a really nice facility, especially after all the renovations that just happened here. It's really sweet. Yeah,
the Spartan room's awesome. And I remember when they first put that up, like in early 2000s, it was state of the art, and now they've redone it again. So pretty exciting.
Yeah, it's kind of stayed on top when it first came around, and then just now it's kind of still re-solidified itself as one of the top facilities in the probably the world, right?
For sure, yeah. And I noticed you got the Sticker Mule shirt on. I love that company. I've had the CEO on the podcast before. I've seen bits.
I listened to that episode.
Oh, you did? Perfect.
Yeah.
Love that guy. I've seen bits and pieces of what you're doing online, and I looked it up, but just share with folks kind of what you're doing with Sticker Mule. I think it's awesome.
Yeah. So following the trials, Anthony reached out to me. He's the owner, and asked about, if I wanted to keep wrestling or if I had other interests in whatever. And I was like, no, I want to keep wrestling. But he asked if I'd be interested to work with them at a part-time basis to basically kind of become a company well recognized in the wrestling community. He wrestled, a couple other people within the company wrestled. He really likes it, enjoys combat sports and whatnot. So he asked me to try to my goal is to get a free order of custom stickers in the hands of every wrestling team and club in the country. So I'm sure a lot of people have been seeing emails come through with my name on them. There's people, that are part of my team. I'm part of their team to help put through free orders. And there's a link on the Sticker Mule website under wrestling, or if you enter your information, and we'll file that and then kick back a gift card to you on the website. So it's not spam if something comes through. It is it's good free stuff, no strings attached. A lot of people are worried about this or that, but it's no, zero commitment, just free, easy. So it's good quality product. They make a ton of different stuff. So there's more things coming too in the future. I think you'll be thoroughly impressed with what we got coming up.
It may seem surprising to some folks, but if you know Sticker Mule, these guys are all about just anything creative marketing wise. It's just amazing to watch what those guys do. And to your point, these are the top of the line stickers. Facebook uses them to make their stickers. So many companies do. They do awesome magnets. I also use their packaging slips that they make. So I couldn't be a bigger Sticker Mule fan. Just the ease of ordering, just the quality of the product is amazing. So we're so lucky to have Anthony in the wrestling circle, then you now kind of being the brand ambassador for the wrestling division.
Yeah. So that's, I was excited about it. And the more I learned more and more about it, their capabilities are through the roof. And I'm currently working on they just came out with yard signs. So the Spartan Combat RTC, our golf outing, will have those as the whole sponsors, kind of putting those to use and whatnot. So there's a ton of different things that you get creative with how you use them. And the quality of their products is all there, and what you ask for and their services, it's tremendous as I learn more and more working with them and stuff like that. So it's a great company.
And is the connection that you guys are from the same town in New York, or that you're a New York guy?
No, he's from probably 20 minutes away from me. We have a couple of mutual friends. That's how we got connected. We got connected at a local MMA event that Sticker Mule is one of the sponsors of. We were sitting next to each other and we were chatting and hit it off from there. Love it.
That's awesome, man. Well, it's good to see you're, spreading your wings, so to speak, and you've got a lot going on. I'm sure are you getting ready for the trials?
Yeah. We've, I've kind of always had that kind of planning in my back pocket, because other than that, there's really no other competition. So, I went to 2 of the 3 training camps this summer, between moving and whatnot and going through this change. So there's a couple of things I've been improving on and working on. So past couple of weeks, like almost since the Olympics, we've been training since I've been up here, it's been consistent. So about last 4 weeks have been real consistent. Before that was a little bit here and there based on moving and whatnot. But that is the focus, and that's where I've been working toward.
Love it. It's exciting to know that you're going to be back out there for hopefully a couple more years, probably through 2024, I would imagine.
Yeah.
I don't want to speak too soon here.
No, that's kind of the plan right now is to go through 24 and see where we're at after that and whatnot.
I know you've only been there 3 weeks, but have you noticed any big differences in terms of the way Cornell approaches training and wrestling than your guys at NC State?
Not too much now, because it's the past 3 weeks or so. Let's see, the beginning of last week, Mike just got back from Tokyo. So before that, it was just kind of Count Russell, Donnie Vincent, and myself. Frank Prelli came in a week or 2 weeks after us. So there hasn't been a ton. Like I haven't really gotten into like our core things and the way they run things here too much. But more and more I see differences and whatnot, and just different things, different focus points, some things that, I didn't think were, just when you're around the same program for so long, it's like you have your things that, are kind of cornerstones of it. But then when you see different people, you're like, oh, well, that's not something that we really push that hard, but it is something that's important. So all coaches have different things that they kind of focus in on, and I'm kind of seeing those with Mike. And right now we're kind of practicing at the same time. So a lot of my focus is on what I'm doing to get ready for the trials.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you see guys wrestling using different stuff, and just different things. Not bad. They have things that they're successful at. NC State has their things. But there's a lot of different ways to win in college wrestling. It's not just one.
Do you have any specifics?
Nothing yet. I think it's too soon. I think to really understand those and see those things, you have to observe over a period of time and observe a lot of practices and hear the same things and kind of the same key points show up over and over and over.
Yeah.
And see how guys execute and practice and whatnot, those type of things. So, oh yeah, that's something that's critical in this program. That's something that you see top to bottom.
And you've been with Pat Popolizio for a long time. And before that, were you with his brother at the Journeyman Club?
Yeah, so I wrestled at the Journeyman Club, probably starting in like 5th or 6th grade. And then I went to Binghamton, July of 2011. So probably about 10 years.
Wow. Let's talk about that. Sorry about that. Just your initial kind of your first stint in college wrestling at Binghamton, because I had learned, or I had read that, you weren't the kind of kid that set goals that say, I'm going to be an Olympic champ at 6 years old. You kind of set smaller goals and achieve them and kind of worked your way up. And just through your Rockfin blog, I had read that you didn't really know how you'd fare in college until you got there. So talk about those first couple of months in the Binghamton room with Coach Pat Popolizio.
They were hard. There was a couple guys that, kicked my butt pretty good. Like I said, it's not like I was like, oh, I'm going to be a national champion or multiple time national champion or multiple time All-American. When I stepped in there, it was just like, I don't know. I haven't wrestled a national champion before. I haven't wrestled an All-American before. I don't know how I stack up to them. And then, going through that, and then as the season progressed, like I wrestled, guys that would wrestle for a national championship, be like, well, he beat me by 9 points, and then I'd wrestle other guys that weren't All-Americans, and I would beat them by 9 points. We're like, well, maybe they qualify for nationals, but that doesn't really give me a good benchmark or anything to measure from. So I just constant progression of like, what's next within your range of skills and your abilities to kind of meet and then go forward. You check that box. What's the next box? What's the next box? What's the next box? that's kind of how I've always progressed through things, up until now, where it's like really the only thing left to do is win a world championships, win an Olympics.
And the thing that seems constant through all those progressions is that you always seem to love wrestling, which isn't always granted with some of the best athletes. Is that fair to say that you were someone who like really soaked up the sport and enjoyed it?
Yeah, I'd say so. I do enjoy it. There's times where it's not as easy as other things, where it's like, well, if I just stopped wrestling and took a normal job, it'd be a lot easier,
Yeah.
Where the hours of this job are unique. Maybe there's more flexibility in those things, but at the same time, it requires a different level of commitment, where other jobs, 5 o'clock, you're done. Saturday, you're done. Sunday, you're done. Those type of things. But no, for the most part, I've always enjoyed it. I've enjoyed I shouldn't say me finding the challenges finding me, and figuring out ways to overcome those challenges. And, now we're at this level where it's like, probably now one of the biggest challenges for myself is to sit back and listen and make changes to things that I've done a certain way for so long. And now listen to someone else going, this is a really fine thing, but we need to change it. So those are challenges that I find right now, and being humble and willing to learn from people and whatnot. So
is it a thing where you're still going out and breaking down technique online, or is it other coaches kind of bringing things to you and different strategy points?
I don't know if it's so much like finding things online. I think it's finding things within my own wrestling and shortcomings that I've had, and be like, okay, well, how can we make this better? We missed out on points. We gave up points here. How can we make those things better? And, it's to the point of, hand placement, head position, all those really small things that, they're small, but they come down to points. Real quick, Ryan, can you hear that dinging?
No, sir.
Okay, good.
We're golden. Nah, not at all. So I know what you mean. Those calendar reminders, sometimes I can, but not on this one.
Okay.
So if you look at your career, whenever I'm getting ready for an interview, I look at what are the big turning points. I got to imagine going to Binghamton was a big one, but even bigger was your decision to transfer to NC State. Talk about the first time you heard that Coach Popolizio was leaving, and kind of your progression of if you were going to follow him or not.
First time I heard he was leaving, I think he called me, told me about it. At first I was like, geez, I don't know. I've never been to North Carolina. Their team stinks. We have a pretty good team here at Binghamton, but I like Pat. I like Frank Beasley. I also liked how Binghamton was close to home. I weighed my things. I thought about other schools, but then, nothing really ever materialized in those things. It's not like I was ever, going on visits to other schools and whatnot. If I was going to go anywhere, it was going to be to NC State. And then just going there and being around Pat and Frank for a longer time, and Jamil Kelly kind of opened my eyes and my skills to more freestyle, where I've wrestled freestyle before, but kind of put me in situations where, like, wrestling at the US Open, wrestling at the World Team Trials, to be like, oh wow, like, yeah, these guys are better than me, but it's not like, out of grasp. It's definitely attainable at these levels to win and to beat these guys and make these small corrections, and boom, there's 2 points off the board, and then you're right in a match. So that was probably a big turning point in my freestyle career that kind of went hand in hand in my collegiate career. So yeah, that was a big part of it, and wrestling in a different conference. It's not like at that time the ACC was that good when I first got there. By the end of it, it definitely improved. But that was a big point, kind of getting out of my bubble and forcing growth upon myself.
And if you look at Coach Popolizio, I've had him on as well, but he's a guy who doesn't talk about himself a lot, so it's tough to tease out some of his routines and his philosophies. knowing that you've been around him for so long, what are some things he does that are unique to him that enables his teams to achieve the success they had? Because he's built programs really at two schools and is obviously one of the top coaches in the game.
Yeah, no, he definitely instills a lot of confidence in you, and confidence in the work that you've done. He runs programs where guys work really hard, and that's not, every program does that. This disciplined work, a complete disciplined lifestyle where that you're doing everything right. So when it comes time to compete and it comes time to get in those, really, really fine moments where you're like, okay, I've put everything in top to bottom, that will enable me to win and do my best. And more and more people buy into that, and when you have better and better athletes buying into that, you produce a better and better team. He did it at Binghamton with probably mid-grade recruits, and now he's doing it at NC State with top 5 recruiting classes and whatnot. So they're doing very good job with kind of the same, with adjustments, but for the main portion of it, stuff that he was doing at Binghamton beforehand.
And were you on some of those teams that beat Iowa and Oklahoma State in the same year?
Yeah, I was on both of them. That was in 2016. We did that. Yeah.
Which, I mean, pretty amazing to say that. A lot of people don't know that or even remember those years, but just talk us through those duels. Were those in like Stillwater and Iowa City? Were they at the national duels?
No, they were both away duels, both at Carver and Gallagher. They were fun. They were, it's kind of, you go to these big matches, these big crowds with your, 25 people in your charter. And you got your little locker room, and, you got the deck stacked against you, but you have a fearless leader that you're behind, and someone you trust, and you're like, all right, well, you got your team to lean on, and you go out there and wrestle. And we had a guy that we had guys on the team that were some proven, some not proven, but they're all guys that had the skills to hang in there, win, be really close to winning, that type of stuff.
Were you guys favored in either duel, or was it an upset?
I don't know if we were favored. I knew they would be close. I think if you ask people, probably not favored, but maybe Oklahoma State we were favored actually. But kind of, the duel ends within 3 points, 4 points.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, Nick, if you don't get pinned, we win this one, or like you go out and win, we win the match. Which I was favored, but other guys on the team, there might be an upset or get a major decision when you weren't supposed to, or don't give up a major, or don't give up a tech fall, those type of things.
Those are fun duels to look back on. And if you look at your career, you get to NC State, you redshirt, and then all of a sudden, boom, you're a national champ again, and then runner up your senior year. So from a skill standpoint, obviously you're a product of just working super hard in the room and going through the grind. From a mentality standpoint, were you someone who visualized or put a lot of thought into the kind of between the ears type of process to get ready for big events?
I wouldn't say a ton then. I think I just kind of went with it. I would definitely make sure I had all my ducks in line, like everything was prepared. There was no surprises. I had all my boxes checked. I was ready. I had this prepared. Like I kind of went through all scenarios, had everything planned out, ready to go, as easy as can be on my end, and whatnot. I still kind of am that way coming up to big events. I try to keep everything in line. I have good routines, minimize surprises and things out of ordinary, just to be easy as can be when I get to those events. And I'd say that's helped me for the most part. And as we're competing, I feel like my coaches always had me well prepared.
Are you still working with the guys at Garage Strength? Because I've watched some of those videos of you jumping out of a pool. I'm like, holy, dude, that's freaking amazing. Can you still do that?
I probably could. I have like some toe injuries, so like I don't. It's not even worth like trying, because if I like bump my toe, then then I'll be in a wheelchair. So I probably could still do that. That was at my old neighborhood too. I don't live there anymore, but I would be, if I had like a better big toe, I would try it. But no,
So,
I still do work with Dane Miller at Garage Strength. We talk daily almost about our strength, about what we're planning on doing, the plan in place, how training is going compared to the strength plan, how many days a week, what we're doing, what feels good, what doesn't feel good, all those type of things.
so who, for folks who don't know, who is Dane, and like what's his connection to your world?
Dane is a strength coach out of Pennsylvania. Man, I can't really tell you what part. Maybe near Reading, I think. I've been to their place, multiple times. But the whole geography of Pennsylvania throws me off a little bit. He's a strength coach. He was a thrower at Penn State. And now he coaches mainly discus and shot putters, and some Olympic weightlifters. He has a pretty good stable of athletes that train with him either in his gym or remotely. I think he was coaching maybe 4 to 5 different athletes at the Olympics.
Oh, wow.
And they're throwers, one from the US, one from Canada, maybe one from Jamaica as well. A couple different that train with him remotely, because not all sports programs have throwing specific coaches.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times I feel like that they're trained on their own for a good bit of it. But he was in Tokyo for a couple of weeks, and now he's down in Mexico with a junior weightlifter. But that's what he does, and he's got a pretty awesome facility out in Pennsylvania that he's got his throwing. It's not like state of the art or anything. Like it's a gym you go into, and you have a plan to get stronger. It's not all machines. There's a bunch of platforms and some rusty old weights you grab a hold of and whatnot. But I've always liked what we've done. I think it's helped me. I'm healthy. I'm strong. I don't get hurt. Knock on wood. But that's why I've kind of always stuck with it. He was one of my teammates' strength coaches when they came in, and I was like, wow, this kid's strong. And then when I graduated, I was working with some of the interns at NC State, and then they moved on. So I was like, well, these interns are always going to kind of move on in their positions. And he expressed interest in wanting to train me multiple times. So I was like, all right, we'll give it a try. And when I first started, it was a little bit difficult because it's like, you're just looking at this plan. You don't really know the expectations. But the more I did them and, went up to his place and trained, I got a better feel for the expectations every time. It was easier and easier. And now it's not easy in any means, but it was easier to meet the expectations of it. And I think I've definitely felt the results of the training we do.
And when you say expectations, do you mean in terms of like how hard you should be going, or what the plan would be week over week?
Well, like the week over week plans in place, we'll go 4 or 5 week blocks or stuff like that, and adjust a little bit with my feedback. But I mean, rest off in between sets, that type of stuff, where I'm not sitting around for 5-6 minutes in between every set. I have an idea of what the sets are supposed to look like and feel like. So when I can meet those, that's why I know I'm doing the lift the correct way.
And if you had to give advice to kids out there listening, a lot of parents listen to this show and they might message me and say, hey, what kind of strength and conditioning should we be doing? If you look at your videos, it's a lot of jumping, obviously some core fundamentalists in there, but if you had to give advice to like high school or college kids, even, how do you look at things that have worked for you in terms of lifts? And
probably my core lifts, probably my number one lift is a power clean, either a power clean, a full clean, high pull, stuff like that. I do a lot of pull-ups, back squat. I don't really deadlift. I don't love deadlifts. Which, kind of goes to the point where it's like, I'll give feedback. It's like, hey, I don't like how this feels on my back. And it's like, okay, we'll scrap it. We'll put in something else. Squats, bench press is always there. Some kind of incline bench press, a lot of core work. front squats, those type of exercise, and they'll cycle in and out, but for the most part, there's always a pushing, an explosive, like a pull, like a power clean, stuff like that. And there's always pull-ups involved. So
I was gonna say I've seen you do pull-ups on like the rock climbing grips where you're just using your fingers.
yeah, that's at his gym. Those are hard. Those
I
are
almost
definitely
bought one
very
last
hard.
night after I saw you doing that. I'm like, I told my girlfriend, I'm like, I was gonna buy a rope to hang over my balcony, but I think I might have something to replace it with. I had never seen one of those before.
Yeah, those are not easy. Some of the things he gets me with when I go up to his gym, because he has some different things. So it's like, oh, this is pretty hard. Too bad I don't have one here.
I bet Joe DeCina would install one in a second if we asked him to do it.
Yeah, there's some unique things in that Spartan room that we can probably implement use of rather soon. I actually just sent Dane a video of all those things. So
It's pretty amazing, isn't it?
yeah, there's some creative things back there.
I'm trying to think back to is the one with a rope that you're kind of climbing bent over.
Yeah, like you're kind of hiking up a hill and pulling a rope.
Yeah.
I think there's like 3 of them.
Crazy. Have you met Joe DeCina since getting
I
up
have
there?
not met Joe. I think I'll meet him at this year's golf outing in a couple of weeks.
Nice. He's awesome. I've been working with him
looking
for
forward to it.
about a year and a half, but been a fan of him for a lot longer than that. I mean, the guy's like used to be an extreme endurance athlete. He's ran the Iditarod, like he's a nut. He was like involved in investment banking and got out of shape and then just went into like ultra endurance running and went way into it. And like I said, before you know it, he's running the Iditarod. He's running Badwater, which is a 135-mile race in Death Valley. And then he had, I think, made so much money on Wall Street and was so into endurance racing that he started Spartan. And now he's got this massive race company that's in, God knows how many countries, maybe 100 countries,
Yeah.
And he just loves wrestling. So it's like, how lucky for us that he's going crazy into it now. It's awesome.
Yeah, right. Works out for all of us.
Man, between Sticker Meal and Spartan, 2 solid companies that just have really strong wrestling backing. So I love that. So I got to know I can imagine how it went. Mike Gray probably called you, said we'd love to have you, but what all went into the change? Was it that you're looking to be a coach long-term, or are you just looking for kind of a new change of scenery?
Yeah. So kind of neither of those things. I don't think I'll stay in coaching my entire life. And I wasn't really looking for a change of scenery, but I was, Mike reached out to me, kind of beginning of June. And this was just after, beginning of July, maybe June. I don't know. But it was right after we had a camp in Atlanta, and I chatted with him for probably like an hour. And I was like, being honest, I was like, yeah, no, I really have no interest in coaching or anything like that. And he called me, probably like a couple days after the Rob Cole news, him heading to Stanford. And he asked me about it and, explained like, there'd be some volunteer duties and going to matches and coaching and whatnot, but, the main focus would still be being competitive and training and competing. So that was probably the biggest, part that I heard. I was like, that's okay. That's interesting. And then Donnie Vincent also being part of it, coming up here. I've been working with him a lot since he came to NC State and since Obi Blanc left. And then just that component, and also the guys they have in here between Vito and Yanni and Kyle, and then you can't go blind to the fact that Mike works with these guys too, so he's obviously someone that they trust, and he brings something valuable to the table that they that they're always with him. So those things, and then understanding Mike's vision of what he wants to do with not just the college program but also the RTC and whatnot. So those were important parts that definitely piqued my interest. Being confident in who I was as a wrestler and as an athlete, to where, if I did want to make a change, I could be successful in it. I've seen other guys do it. James Green's done it. Jordan Burroughs is doing it. Kyle Snyder did it. Thomas Gilman, guys can switch programs and still be successful or more successful.
Mhm.
So knowing that, you know, I was like, I've done 9 years there. And my girlfriend Hadley was like, yeah, no, let's give it a try. So we came up here and checked it out. It's definitely very different from Raleigh. Similar in some ways to the area I grew up here in New York, in terms of the ruralness of it and whatnot, and the open space. But also downtown Ithaca is unique in its own manner. And it was somewhere where it was like, you know, you look at the facility, you look at the commitment of the people around the program and in the program, and graduates of the program, and all those things that go into it, like, there's commitment to winning here no matter what. So
Yeah.
there was definitely tough leaving North Carolina. Have a lot of good friends back there, and a beautiful place to live. But to finish out my career and see how things are here, I'm not afraid to do it.
Well, I'm excited you're there. It's going to be fun to see the impact you make on some of the upper weights at Cornell. How much is like workout partner availability important to you, or is someone of your skill level, have you kind of resigned to the fact that there's not too many guys that are going to be able to scrap with you, and you're just kind of picking up things as you go?
No, I think it is important to have the availability of tough guys. I think everyone at some level is, let's say at my level, is world class at something that they could execute on everybody, or close to everybody. So you have to be disciplined in your repetitions in your live wrestling, to where like, yeah, I can always go to this, but let's give this more reps, and not just giving different moves, more reps, but also correct reps. It doesn't matter whether I'm wrestling a guy off the street or if I'm wrestling in the world championships, I'm executing the move correctly every damn time. To where I'll do it asleep, but it's done correctly. So that's something I've kind of learned over the last few years, that when you get more and more into wrestling, where it's like, yeah, there's in every room, there's not guys that are going to beat you. You can help guys try to beat you. That's always good, and encourage them. Hey, I need the best effort out of you, because for me to get as good as I possibly can, I need you to try to, beat me every time we go live. Give me your best, and that's going to pull the best out of me too. And there's young guys in the room here that I think have some ability that we need to work out of them, to get to that level. And then, there's also senior level guys that, have been here, like Scotty Boykin, who brings some different skill sets that I'm not used to. And then, we just brought in Yusuf Hamida, who also brings some different skill sets and a body frame that, frankly, is pretty similar to a couple of the top guys in the world.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm going to find Gano Petrosvili to, train with every day, but here's another guy who's 6'4", and presents a similar body type, and skills as well that you have to be aware of and respect, and wrestle around them and get better in those positions to be able to beat guys. Have
you ever had the chance to train with Gino or Taha before?
I have. I've competed against both of them. I've never trained together. No.
Well, one guy I read that you had trained with is Varner, Olympic gold medalist, obviously down at Penn State. What kind of feel does he bring that you don't typically see?
I think anyone that wrestles with Jake will say he's probably the strongest individual they've ever wrestled.
Wow.
I've been in on his legs so many times, and then, he could be on his butt and have a double leg wrapped up, and he could lock around your chest, or just like post and sprawl, and then you're like, no, how does legs? Like, he's so strong. His hips are so strong. His legs are like, I don't know, iron or something, concrete. They're just like dense and strong.
Wow. That's I just think it's cool that you would go up there and work out with those guys. I mean, you think about you in that room with the rest of those horses. My God, I don't know if Snyder was there when you were going, but or if this was before he had made the move. But
no, I was. I've been going. I was up there all the way up through the trials. I haven't been since the trials, just because everything's been so busy and all that stuff. But no, they have a great room, and they have a very I think that the top rooms you look at are all very wrestling focused, and it's just, if you have skills, just come in and we'll teach you, you teach us. And it's very open to wrestling bodies.
Yeah.
That's probably, wrestling is the government. It's like, there's no, oh, it's you or you. It's like, no, it's wrestling, you'll get better and they'll force me to get better and whatnot. It's not like I'm going to come in here, you're going to come in here, we're going to scout you and try to beat you,
Right.
But it's, it's all wrestling centric.
And it's skills based learning, like different techniques versus like going real hard and, like.
Yeah, there's that. But don't fool yourself. Those guys go hard, Friday match days, longer goes, all that stuff. They all wrestle very hard. They wrestle very hard, and are competitive. All things that you see that are shown in their athletes, especially.
Yeah. When you look at their coaching staff too, or any great program now, they have so many coaches that could be head coaches. Coach Cunningham is one that jumps out. Everything you hear about that guy, it's like just one of the, the great minds in wrestling. Did you have a chance to work with him often when you were up there?
Yeah, I would work with Casey a bit. He's cornered me for a couple world team trials and overseas at plenty of events and whatnot. And same thing with Cody and Jake, Kale and Mark McKnight and Eric Thompson. Like, it's everyone's, if you're in the room, you're there for everybody. It's not like, oh, I don't really work with you or work with you. It's like, oh, you need help? Sure. What do you need? You want to come in early? I'll be there. They're very selfless individuals.
That's awesome. Good to know that those kind of people are out there in the wrestling world, and makes a lot of sense why they're as good as they are. I looked at, your entire body of work as a senior athlete, and I was trying to zero in on one tournament or one trip, but I did notice that the first time you went to Regan, you didn't place. Then in 18, you went back and got a bronze, and I'm sure that was a big medal. Or was it 16? You went for the first time, in 17, you got the bronze.
I'm not sure. Maybe it might have been 17.
What was your first trip
17
over
18.
to Krasnoyarsk like?
I don't know. I felt like I was well prepared. I gave up a stupid wizard kick for 4 against some bum. Like, I was a far better wrestler than him. I think I was winning the match in the second period. He scored a wizard kick. I was driving him out of bounds in a single leg. He wizard kicked me. And then he ended up winning the match, maybe on criteria or something.
Wizard kick? What's that?
I was driving him in a single leg. He wizarded down, kicked in between my legs. I probably went out of bounds for 4, I think.
Got it.
A Russian 4, whatever you want to call that. I forget if it was close or not. But then he went on. Yeah, I knew he wasn't going to make the finals. So, just sitting there in the stands for 2 days or, day and a half in a little plastic seat, 12 hours from home, 12 time zones away. Like, this really, really sucks. I don't want this to happen again.
What is the environment like inside that arena? Is it like real quiet and subdued, or are they going crazy the whole time?
There's not a ton of fans. Actually, there are a lot of fans at Regan. Last time I went, it was probably about 50 degrees inside, because it's probably negative 20 outside. So like, everyone's wearing jackets, and you're warming up, you're taking your jacket off right before you go on the mat and whatnot. But it was damn cold.
That's crazy.
But yeah, it's there are a lot of really good wrestlers. I think when I placed, who did I lose to? Yeah, I lost the match to the guy that won.
Kushkov?
Yep. And then I beat this other Russian who's represented them at the World Championships before, and I beat a Mongolian guy who wrestled for 5th at the Olympics. I'm pretty sure it was him.
What's that guy's name?
It begins with like M-U-H-G.
Mukhtar?
Yeah, I think it was him.
I think it was him. Yeah, I just looked at it yesterday on UWW.
Yeah.
And that's, I think just the point of the story though, is what I enjoyed about it was that as opposed to college wrestling where you can grind your way back, freestyle wrestling, it's like it demands total focus the entire time because, you know, a couple second lapse in focus, just like you had mentioned, you know, you're getting, you have a
Yes.
single, you're going out of bounds. Is that something that still kind of rings true for you?
Yeah, it just really sucks sitting there going 0-1. I felt it at the World Championships in 2019, where, you know, you really understand, like, you only have 6 minutes to give it your best effort before it's, you know, you're done for the tournament, you know. So if you know, take seconds off, or if you start to coast, things like that, lose focus, that can really hurt you. So you kind of have to figure out ways to bring yourself back into focus, not lose the focus. When the focus drifts, bring yourself back to focus, and all throughout keeping your energy and effort high. And when you go to compete, being ready to compete, that's your focus.
Do you have any mantras that you say to bring yourself back if you're starting to drift during a match or in a warm up?
I wouldn't say mantras, just kind of, you know, you stop, you breathe. I kind of like wiggle my toes, just kind of feel where my feet are, and kind of run a diagnostic on your body for the most part, feel everything and be like, okay. And that time that you did those things, you felt where you are in that moment. That brings me back. That eliminates all other thoughts, because you're busy thinking about, okay, there's sweat running down my forehead, my back's sweaty, you know, my heart's pumping hard, you know, my left shoe's a little bit tighter than my right shoe, you know, all those things that you feel everything.
Wow. And that's like during a warm up or sometimes even like walking back to center?
Not really walking back to center.
That's too much thought.
Yeah, too much thought. In warm up before the match, you know, because you know, your mind is such a slippery fellow. Someone once told me that, you know, if you try to direct it one way, it goes the other way.
Slippery fellow. I love that. It's so true. I mean, what a great description of it. I just love hearing how people at your level get themselves back on track, because really it just seems like, you know, to have the kind of consistency to be where you're at since 2012 onward, you're obviously doing something unique. I mean, obviously this year you wrestled Gable at the trials. What chances did you give Gable going into the Olympics of going with Taha or Gino? Like, what were your thoughts on how that could go?
I remember after the trials, I was getting a water out of the cooler, and Brendan Eggum was over there, and I said, "Congrats, you know, well done." And I was like, you know, if he doesn't win a medal, I'll be very surprised. You know, wrestling him was different than a lot of other guys, and I knew that his skills aren't seen too often around the world in other countries. So with that being said, I was like, you know, if he's going out there, like he's going to catch these guys off guard. They haven't seen this before, and he's probably going to win medal. He's probably going to do very well. You know, which, you know, came true. The guy won a gold medal, performed well, and beat some of the guys that have been at the top of the podium every time over the last almost 10 years now.
Did you see adjustments made even between his semifinal match and the finals in terms of the guys he's wrestling, like already picking up on some of the things he did?
I think one thing Petrasvili did was probably be a little more focused on the intent of the scores. Like, if I'm going to shoot, it's got to be a good, clean, hard attack. I need to get to his leg. Where I think Taha kind of exposed his ankles a little bit too much, and a little more of a sweeping motion that really gave Gable those opportunities for his go behinds, which he's really good at, kind of stepping off to the side, grabbing that near ankle, running through guys. Yeah, I definitely think that those skills that he brought was something they haven't seen before. And if anything, it kind of showed Petro in the finals, like, okay, I need to tighten things up a bit. I can't, not that he's careless when he wrestles, right? The guy's extremely good.
Yeah.
But just give them a better idea of the skill sets that he brings.
And obviously parterre in that match was huge. It could have gotten, way out of hand. Is parterre something you focus on just the same as your neutral game and your strength and conditioning game?
Yeah, I'd say probably two, we're probably wrestling parterre maybe over an hour a week, whether it's live or whether it's reps, every time, either it's takedown, two turn or takedown, and, where do my hands need to be? This is going here, this is going there. Maybe I don't take them through every time, but even in drilling, it's at the front of mind, which is something that's definitely changed from where I was in 2017, 2018 to now. I would take my parterre abilities against a lot of guys in the world.
Yeah.
Like right up there with like, okay, you need to get a turn, get a turn, those type of things. You score a takedown, are you turning right from it? Those type of things. Yeah.
You have to at that level, obviously. And if you look at all the crazy events you've been a part of, I got to think 2017 when Team USA won the gold had to be a big one. You got your first world bronze medal. What memories do you have of that event back in Paris in 2017?
That was special. It's cool to be part of that, and not just be part of it. Like everybody on the team was part of it. There was not one part that was like, not even like you look at guys and be like, oh, well, they didn't like contribute. Like, no, like the more you get into this sport and realize it's like everyone, no matter if they win a lot of matches, they win no matches, like everyone is part of the team. Whether, it could be as small as like the energy you bring, the friendship, the camaraderie you bring to the guys on the team, like everyone's part of it. And, it was even cool that, everyone left with medals that year. And we were so successful and got to do it for the first time in a long time. That was pretty sweet. I didn't really realize the magnitude of it when we did it. But then afterwards, everyone's talking about it and whatnot. It's like, it's pretty cool to be part of that team. And especially, I think, looking back on it in a longer period of time when I'm done wrestling, saying, yeah, I've got to be on teams with Jordan Burroughs, Logan Stieber, Kyle Dake, Kyle Snyder, David Taylor, James Green, some of the guys that I think will go down as probably some of the best wrestlers the United States have ever seen.
As will you, my friend. And that's why we're excited to see you back on the mat 4 weeks from now, the trials, and then back to Norway. Is it Norway for the Worlds?
Yes, Oslo, Norway.
I was talking to my girlfriend this morning. She's trying to plan a trip in October to Utah. I'm like, what do you think about Norway? She's like, Norway.
Go to Norway. I went in 2019 with my girlfriend after Norway or after Kazakhstan. And it was beautiful. Oslo is cool. Bergen on the West Coast is cool. There's a ton of, and we kind of went the same time of year. There's a ton of outdoor stuff. Incredible views, like views you can't imagine.
You're actually talking me into it. Now, I was joking this morning, but if you're serious about it.
I know I'm very serious about it. It was well worth it, especially if you like some outdoor stuff. And I'm sure if you're going to Utah, you're going for outdoor stuff.
That's the only reason we're going. Yeah.
Pull up. I'll send you some pictures of Norway, and then she'll be all in on Norway.
I love it, man. Yeah, it would be so cool to go. Especially knowing it's like the Olympics were so fun, and now we have an event two months after. It's amazing because I was feeling a little post-Olympic blues, but then I remembered that the Worlds are just 6, 7, 8 weeks away.
They'll be right here.
Awesome, man. Well, Gwiz, thanks so much for taking time out of your day. Tell all the guys on the staff there, we say what's up. We love the Cornell team, and best of luck to you moving forward, man.
Thank you. See you, Ryan.
Take care. And that's the end of this episode of Wrestling Changed My Life. Thank you to our sponsor, Spartan Combat. And coming Monday, August 30th, we will be releasing our next audio documentary series. It's called Slaying Saitiev. It's a story about the biggest upset in wrestling history that took place at the 2000 Olympics. We put a ton of time into these audio docs, so it would mean the world to me if you would check out Slaying Saitiev on Monday, August 30th, right here on this platform. Peace!